World Menopause Day is coming up next week, and the transition can affect women in many different ways.
Here to shine a spotlight on how it can affect the heart is Dr. Moreno with University of Utah Health. Oh, we have so much to learn from you right now. Okay, so talk us through the age where you might start to notice some symptoms and how it all connects to the heart.
Absolutely. So I am glad we're talking about this today because it is more than just the hot flashes and night sweats. And as we all may know, the average age of menopause is between 51 to 52. However, these symptoms can start in perimenopause, which we also know as the menopausal transition, and that is on average in your mid to late 40s. However, in about 20% of the population, it happens in your late 30s, early 40s.
Will you talk about some of the symptoms?
Absolutely. Yeah, so the classic ones are your typical hot flashes, night sweats, poor sleep, brain fog, mood swings. However, the not so classic ones are worsening anxiety, depression, even heart palpitations, low libido, joint pain. So those are symptoms that are not being talked about in our communities and maybe with your healthcare provider.
So women might be experiencing those and wonder what's going on and not know how to tie it into perimenopause or menopause itself.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, that happens. And we want to be able to evaluate you for other causes of your symptoms, not just related to the menopausal transition or perimenopause or menopause, but it is more than just that, right? We want to make sure that your thyroid is not out of whack, you have an increased risk of insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, which also present with very non-specific symptoms.
Dr. Moreno, what's the connection between the lower estrogen and cardiovascular risk?
Yeah, so that's an important question. So the menopause transition, which I mentioned earlier is perimenopause, it is the time where women do experience changes in their hormones, and specifically the lack of estrogen, which is heart protective. So it's cardioprotective, and once we lose that estrogen at menopause, it increases your risk of heart disease in many, many ways, and including increased risk for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and even that fat around the belly area, which we know is central weight gain, also increases a woman's risk for heart disease, as well as women-specific risk factors. So if you have had a history of gestational diabetes, high blood pressure during pregnancy, such as preeclampsia, eclampsia, and having a history of premature menopause also increase your risk of heart disease at midlife.
Isn't it incredible that you can be an adult and you're like, I have so much to still learn about my body and its changing phases.
Yeah.
So estrogen dropping is a big one. What else happens? What else drops? Because there's other hormones that could fluctuate and change.
Right.
And what does that cause?
Yeah, so your ovaries also produce not just estrogen, but also progesterone, and 50% of the production of testosterone. And all of these hormones really do play a role in our overall bone health, not just our cardiovascular risk, right? Not just our heart health. And so there is an accelerated bone loss that also happens in the first 5 years of menopause, and that's about 1 to 2% each year. However, that risk is over a woman's lifetime. So we lose about 30% of our bone mass by the age of 80, which increases a woman's risk for an osteoporotic fracture. And hip fractures, as we know, women end up in nursing homes and assisted livings because we cannot do those things that we used to do independently anymore.
All right, let's end this on a high note. We need strategies to reduce the risk of all of these complications. What can we do today?
So lifestyle, our healthy habits really do matter. 70% of heart disease can be prevented with lifestyle changes alone. So making sure that we're engaged in physical routine activity, so at least 150 minutes of moderate to high intensity exercise per week. Strength training is important for midlife women, at least 2 to 3 days per week. Increase that lean muscle mass, decrease that fat mass and fat distribution. And also keeping up with a well-balanced, nutritious diet. So eating less processed foods, less processed carbs, and decreasing red meat, increasing our lean protein intake and soluble fiber. Minimizing stress levels, optimizing our sleep. All those are healthy lifestyle changes that we can do now, and it starts starts today.
I love that you ended on that note because it does make you feel like there's some control that you do have.
Absolutely.
So put in that work. I
Yeah.
know I needed to hear that message.
Yeah. Well,
The University of Utah Health has a midlife women's and menopause program, everyone. So if you're thinking, I need to know more about this, which is
Yes.
exactly what I thought while you were talking,
Please come
they
and see
have
us.
help for you. They even have a phone number on your screen, 801-213-2995. Also a website right there. Click on the Midlife Women's Program or go to our website and we'll link you to all the info. Our thanks to University of Utah Health for this sponsored segment. Doctor, thank you for being here.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.